Hey.
Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. Today on I'll Bring Dessert, we have somebody like y'all have to understand there are certain people who create content who I have bookmarked because when my family's hungry and it's 5:30 in the afternoon and I'm like, which happens more often than you might think. I need to be able to go pull something super, super fast. Today on I'll Bring Dessert, we have one of my favorite content creators who's here to show us how to make things fast, fresh, in a hurry for our families who are so incredibly understanding in the evenings when we're, when we're hungry and tired. Um, I want you all to seriously give the biggest hand to my friend, Miss Kita Anderson. Welcome.
Oh, hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here today.
I'm so glad that you were able to be here. Like when I say I have you bookmarked, I have her website friends is simplylakita.com.
Mhm.
And when I say it's bookmarked, like we're both moms, right? And so we're both
Yes.
familiar with and your son's older than my kids. So I'm sure you're familiar with the mom, I'm hungry. Mom, I'm hungry.
Oh, yes.
Mom, I'm hungry. And after about 4 or 5 minutes of that, the drumbeat of I'm hungry gets very, very loud.
Yes, very loud.
And don't let them get hangry. And so your blog really comes in handy for a mom like me or for parents like me, for people like me who are feeding people who need to do it fast, but we want to do it in a very healthy and quick and, a great way. Because at the end of the day, who wants to live in the kitchen? Right. And
No one.
we both trade in food. And at the end of the day, I don't even want to, I don't want to live in the kitchen for the rest of the night.
No, not at all.
So that's one of the things that I love, love, love about your blog. Did you actually start off intending to create a blog that people could go to for quick recipes?
Oh, no, that was not really what I intended. It actually started off as a passion project, kind of hobby. So I had my grandmother's and my mother's recipes that were written on note cards that were very old and very worn.
Yes.
And I really just wanted a way to digitally archive
Oh,
those.
that's so
So
sweet.
a friend of mine suggested a blog and I was all in on that. So that's how it started. And then as I was working in corporate America and preparing my own meals, I just kind of started to put a
Right.
twist on those recipes and make them, easy for me to get them on the table in a hurry in the evenings after work.
Was that your twist that you were like, okay, this 8-hour pot roast, I need to figure out how to get it on the table?
Exactly, exactly. That was really it where my mom and my grandmother, they would take the recipe would take 3 hours.
Yeah.
And after you work an 8-hour day or a 10-hour day, no one has time to come home and spend 3 hours in the kitchen.
Right.
So I started figuring out where I could kind of shortcut it and pare it down and make changes and make it instead of 3 hours, we're doing 45 minutes.
Right.
And it's ready.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a big difference. 3 hours to 45 minutes, that makes a huge difference in your quality of life at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that was pretty much what it morphed into.
So what were some of the
Yeah,
ways
just
that you
convenient.
were able to take a 3-hour recipe, right? And change it into something that can be flavorful and healthy in 45 minutes?
I guess just the way that I would approach it. So today's recipe with the roast chicken, I know that was one that my grandmother and my mom used to
Yeah.
always make. Except for my mom would literally get the whole chicken and break it down and use every part and season it very
Mm-hmm.
well. And it was just this whole process. And then she would cook things in separate
Right.
pans and different things would be going on. So the way that I wanted to make that similar profile, similar
Mm-hmm.
recipe, but make it like convenient for
Yeah.
me. So for me, I was like, you know what? We're going to use chicken
Mm-hmm.
thighs. We're going to season it. We're going to put everything in one
We
pan.
love,
And that's
love.
it.
Like, I just finished, because I've been baking today,
Mhm.
something that we're not talking about just yet. But like when you clear the kitchen, when you get everything
Mhm.
finally all clean, the last thing you want to do is take out 20 new dishes and get started all over again.
Yes, no.
You're like, yes,
No one
mm-mm,
wants to do
mm-mm.
that. Mm-mm. And then you have to deal with the
Right,
cleanup afterward. No one wants to be, trying to clean up, taking hours to clean up
right.
the kitchen. So that's just, yeah, that was just my philosophy. I was like, how can I take this
Hmm.
recipe, make it similar, but make it
Right.
faster?
And you did it.
Yeah.
You did it. So
Yes.
let's,
Yeah.
because this is going to go in the oven, I have my oven
Okay.
heating. No, it's
Hmm.
heated. Um,
Okay.
this needs to go in the oven for 25 to 35 minutes. So I actually want to get this in the oven and then we can gab some more. I talk
Okay.
too much in the
Sounds
kitchen,
good.
honey. Oh my goodness. Let me get a
Oh, I get it.
spatula.
Same.
Let me get a spatula. All right.
Yeah.
So tell me what we're making today.
We are making roasted chicken thighs with potatoes and
Mm-hmm.
carrots. So ultimate like comfort food that's very filling and hearty. And we're gonna put like a dry rub. We're gonna put butter on the
Mm,
chicken thighs. We're gonna put like a rub on
yes.
it. So we're gonna do our own spice blend. So
Yes.
that's where we're headed today. Everything's gonna be in one pan too.
My trusty skillet. My trusty
Yes. So
skillet.
yes. Get your oven safe
Right?
pan, or my preference is always the cast iron
Oh,
skillet.
absolutely. I don't think
Mhm.
I'd put anything else really except for the cast iron in my Dutch oven, which is
Mm,
also cast iron. It's
yes.
just enameled cast
Yes.
iron. Those are the only things I
Yes.
put in the oven on a regular basis, besides
Yeah,
the
me too. I
bakeware.
think so.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, of course. So, what do I need to do first?
So the first thing, now that we have preheated
Yes,
our
ma'am.
oven, of
Of
course,
course.
we got our cast
Yes.
iron. We're going to quarter some potatoes, and you can use like a half a cup. And for this recipe too, even though I provide
Uh huh.
measurements, it's really, to your preference, honestly. You want to add more potatoes, more
I think
carrots.
I was a little full with the
Like,
potatoes because these are my
yeah,
potatoes. So, can I
yeah.
go ahead and add all of these, Chef?
Yes,
Okay.
you can. Yes,
Great. Potatoes are in.
yes. Potatoes are
Almost.
in. And next,
Okay.
yes.
Next.
Then we're going to add in a third a cup of
Okay.
carrots, and we're going to kind of cut those down a little
Sure.
bit so they'll fit. Mhm. We're going to add a tablespoon of olive
Ooh.
oil to the same
Okay.
pan.
I love how we get to build this in the pan, by the way.
Yes,
Okay. I was a little
yes.
liberal with the olive oil,
You
but it's all good.
and that's fine. It's all good. Use your heart. And then we're going to add some salt and
Okay.
pepper, and then we're going to toss everything together to get that oil and salt and pepper on
Yes, yes,
everything.
yes. So you bake
Yes.
too, right?
I
Are
do.
you this
Yes.
liberal with your baking measurements or are you much more conservative?
I am like with baking, I'm very by the book.
Hmm.
So, I'm very much usually for the most
Hmm.
part I'm going to follow the recipe to the T.
Right.
I'm going to make sure that everything works. Even though I add exact measurements on the blog, that's more so someone can duplicate it the exact way I
Yeah.
do it. But really with savory dishes, you can kind of just do what you want to do for the most
Yes.
part.
And that's what I mean, it's so strange. Well, it's not strange to me now. When
Hmm.
I was growing up, I couldn't understand because I was savory all the way growing up.
Hmm.
Could
Hmm.
not bake. I cannot
Yes.
emphasize this enough for people who have been around for a
Yes.
minute. I could
Hmm.
not. I couldn't. Like, could not bake. It was like a
Yes.
standing joke in my family that the
Oh
only
no.
thing I was trusted to do was prep pans And ironically, that's like one of the number one questions that I get all the time is, how do you prep your pans? Oh, I'm old hat at that, honey. I've got that. I've been doing that a long time. So,
That's right.
right.
It's like you can kind of
Yeah.
freestyle with savory, but with baking, you can't
Mm-mm.
really do that because things
Yeah.
happen. It's like a science experiment.
And that was really frustrating for me as a kid because I was so good with like savory, and I was so bad. I couldn't even use my easy bake. I couldn't.
Oh no.
My sister was making.
And that was the easiest. It was like what? Mix and water and
My sister was so good and so creative with the easy bake, and I was just a mess. It would always come out super watery. Like it was just like a child who could not use an easy bake oven. I know.
Wow.
It was bizarre. Okay. So that's why I love savory because you can really just like whatever. Yeah, this is a rough whatever as much as I need.
Yes.
But also
and you can always kind of taste as you go too. So that's one of the good things about savory dishes, that's different from baking as well too.
Right. But you've always baked, right?
Yes, I've been baking since before I attended school. Like for me, my baking journey started when I was a kid. I had to be like 4 or 5 with my grandmother in the kitchen. She was my babysitter because I wasn't in school and my parents were at work. And she used to take a milk crate and turn it upside down and scoot it up to the counter, and I would stand on top and bake aside from her. And my grandmother was a serious baker. Like she baked something from scratch every single day. There was always something in the cookie jar or the cake plate at her house. So
Something sweet.
Yes, exactly. And the neighborhood knew it. So everyone came to her house for her baked treats.
What was her name? What'd they call her?
Maddie. Her name was Maddie Brown.
Hi, Miss Maddie. I got an A plus on my test today.
Right. All right. I need a cookie.
Or 5.
Yep. Yes. And I think that was like where she got her joy from, everyday baking.
Oh, everybody loved Miss Maddie. Everybody loves a baker.
Yes. So I picked that up from her 4 or 5. I was baking. She would give me a little bit of her mix to put in like my little pans that she had bought me, the little kid metal pans, and I would play around with that. And as I got older, my mom taught me how to properly measure out all of my ingredients, to weigh the flour and to put everything in the bowl.
Weigh the flour, like you were using a scale.
She believed in weighing. But you know what? It wasn't the digital scales we have now. It was like the one with the plate on it that you had to, like, you could press down as a kid.
To know what you were doing to work with those, though.
Yes. That was her thing. So you have to measure everything out, put everything in its separate bowls, do your checklist. She was a firm believer that if you can read a recipe, you can make anything. So
look at that.
I learned that from her. Yes. And then my baking evolved because I was like, okay, if I can read everything, if I can read, I can make a recipe, so I can make anything. So I was like 10, 11 years old making cakes from scratch.
And look at this. You've come so full circle. Like, look at where you are now.
Yeah.
I know they are just so proud of you.
Amazing. Yes.
All right. So what do I have to do next? I'm running my mouth. I need to get this thing in the oven.
Okay. So the next thing we have to do, we've got everything. We have everything spread out evenly in the bottom of the pan. So now we're going to do our spice blend. So with that, she already has it. Our spice blend has brown sugar, 2 teaspoons, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of thyme, half a teaspoon of paprika, and some salt.
So good.
Yes, and we're going to mix all that together, and next we move on to our chicken thighs, preparing those.
And we're getting all up in these chicken thighs.
Yes, and we're going to slather them down with butter first.
Oh, slather them down with butter. Do I need to melt my butter then?
Yes.
All right, it says quarter in the recipe. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I say like use like a tablespoon, and then you can break it up. But if you find you need to use more, use more.
And I'm seasoning both sides, right?
Yes.
All righty. So I got my butter. Oof, one thing I am proficient at is working with butter.
Yes. And I find that you don't really have to melt it if you take it out the
Mhm,
refrigerator and let it sit for a little
mhm,
while. As you're rubbing, it just kind of melts, with the heat from your
mhm.
hands.
It sure does. It sure
Mhm.
is. All right.
Yeah.
So as I'm working on this buttering process,
Okay.
uh, how did you get started with your blog? Like what I know you said a friend like said you should blog, but what was it in
Mhm.
you that said, you know what, I really do want to make this into this digital thing for the masses?
Mm. I think for me, it was really, I just really wanted a place to have those cards. I knew it was important because I knew they weren't going to last
Right.
forever. So for me, it was like, okay, let me find a way to digitally archive these. A friend suggested a blog. And from there, I was pretty much working in corporate
Mm-hmm.
America in project management.
Mm-hmm.
So just, I did not like my job very much. From there, I would come home at night and I would make those recipes. And then just posting on the blog just was like feeling, it was very
Mm-hmm.
relaxing to me. Like I was really enjoying it. So I started doing it, I would do it in the
Right.
afternoons, I would do it on the weekends. And after doing that for, like a year, it just started to kind of grow. People started to, follow me because, I started a
Right.
blog, but I also grabbed all of my social
Right.
media
Of
handles
course.
when I started the blog. So, yes, people started following on social media and also following my
Were you
blog. And
surprised at
that's
how
how
it
I
picked
really
up?
got started. Absolutely. Because for me, I was just like, nobody's going to read this except because in my mind, it was just going to be a digital
Right.
archive. So, it was going to be a place where probably my mom was going to click
Mm-hmm.
and read, or
I'd be like, that's
family,
not how
or
you do
if
that.
I'm, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Or even family and friends, when I would make
Hmm.
things, it was easier to say if they were like, oh, give me the recipe, oh, just get it from my
Right.
blog. But it was crazy when like
Yeah.
strangers started clicking on it. I was like, oh, this is really a
Then those
thing.
strangers
Wow.
become friends. And that's kind of cool.
Yes, that is
All
very
right. So
cool.
I got my spice blend.
Okay, so now we're going to generously season all of our chicken thighs on all sides, everywhere. Just get it in there. And you can take your hands and, rub it
Because
in
why
and just
not?
make sure that it gets everywhere. Yes.
All righty. Just a little bit more.
Yes. Yes.
Just a little bit more, right?
Hmm.
All right. Do we need to, with these chicken thighs, do we need to turn them during the cook time or are they just cooking on one side the whole time?
Nope. They'll cook all the way through. So there's no need to turn it. You can literally put this recipe in the oven and just go do something else for half an hour.
That sounds like a nap. No, not really, because
Yes.
half an hour is not long enough for me to take a nap. Let me be real.
Yes, get you if you can take it with your meat thermometer, check the internal
Uh huh.
temperature, make sure it gets, to the proper level. I think it's
Hmm.
165, and that's
That's
it.
it.
That's
So
it. You don't have
they
to
just go
turn it.
right
You
in
don't have
there.
to babysit it. They just
You
go right
have
on
got
top.
to be
Yes,
kidding me with how easy this is.
that's it.
My oven's been
Yes.
preheated to 400. It might look like it says
Hmm.
435, and it does. But
Uh-oh.
my oven tends to run cold, so I have to set
Mm.
it higher. So,
Okay, and mine's the
is it?
opposite. Mine runs very hot.
Does it? Like
Yes.
how hot?
Yeah. Usually, I have to set it like maybe 5 degrees less than what the
Oh,
recipe
see,
calls
mine's like
for.
25 degrees cold. So,
Oh.
what? How long should I set for these? Like 25 minutes, 30 minutes?
You can do 20 to 25 minutes to start
I'll
off
do
and
20
see where we
minutes.
go from there. I know everyone's chicken thighs are kind of different, so
Mhm.
I always say, somewhere in there it should be
20.
done.
A little birdie told me that
Okay.
you have a son who is actually a grown up. I thought it was so hard to
Yes.
believe. I'm so perplexed by this.
Yes. I have a son that's
Uh
23
huh.
and he graduated college last year.
I'm so perplexed by this.
Yes.
Like, how is that possible?
Yeah. Yes.
So you were like, what, 11, 12?
I was
No,
21. I
come
was
on. Come
21
on.
years old when I had him. So yes, I'm 45
Oh, and I'm
now.
46.
And yeah. Oh, see, look at
Mhm,
there.
same age. Well, just
Look at
about.
there.
I'm not gonna
Mhm.
wish any more years
Yeah.
on you. Not yet.
Okay.
But I also
But
heard that this son is a proud graduate of Carson Newman.
he
And that was one of
is.
the things
He
that I was like,
is.
oh my gosh, my
Mhm.
uncle is a graduate of Carson Newman. And I believe, like your son, he was also on the football team.
Mhm.
I
Ah, yes, my son
know.
was.
That's
Yes.
the thing
Yep.
that was so like crazy to me was that,
Wow.
you and I have all of these connections. So let's talk about some of those, like
Mhm.
The Carson Newman
Okay.
connection. How many
Mhm.
people know a Carson Newman graduate who's in football
Yeah.
play? Like,
'Cause it's a small
mhm,
school. It's a small private
mhm,
school. So usually whenever I tell people that's where he graduated, you have to kind of go through okay, it's close to
mhm.
Knoxville, right outside. You have to kind of explain to people. But yeah, that was surprising.
Yeah.
When you say your uncle graduated from there, it was like,
Oh
oh
yes, he's
wow.
a
Yeah.
very proud graduate, honey.
Yes. Same. My son is the same. He is the same. Very proud Carson Newman
Oh,
grad.
can I tell you, this chicken behind me, like
Hmm.
my salivary glands are like
Oh yeah.
already.
Yes. Yes.
They're not even close to being done. So,
Yeah, it's something about chicken and potatoes that, just makes your
but tell
house
me
like
about the magic of
smell.
this spice rub. Where did you come up with this?
Mm, that was just trial and error. It was like, because like I think for the most part, I always put like paprika
Mhm,
on. Um, and then I was like, okay, of course, salt and
of
pepper,
course.
garlic powder, that's a thing. But I love thyme. I love using it. So anytime I can kind of throw that in a
Yeah.
recipe, I'm probably gonna do it. And then it was something about the brown sugar to kind of just bring it all
Yeah.
together. Not make it sweet, but just kind of just make that chicken get that
That
nice
caramelization.
crispy
Yes.
crust.
That is my son's
Yes,
favorite
that
part.
just
He used to go around asking people for their chicken skins. Like,
mhm,
"Oh, you
mhm.
can't do that. We're at a restaurant."
Yes, yes, yes. So, yeah, it was definitely one of those I just tried, and I love making my own spice
Yeah.
blends when I can, instead of like
Right.
buying, the store version, like just make your own out of if you have a basic spice rack, you can make your own spice
So
blends.
where do you get inspiration for spice blends? Mm,
Ooh, that can be from
yeah.
anywhere. Sometimes it can be if I notice a spice blend in the
Right?
store. You know how you just turn it over on the back and you'll be
Mhm.
like, okay, I got all these, so I'll just make it at
Okay, that's
home.
cool. Cool, cool.
I'll just make it at home. And then sometimes it's like you just take like I'll taste and I'll be like, okay, it needs some of
Right.
this. It needs some of that, a little more of this, a little more of
Mhm.
that. Yeah.
And it's just trial and error.
Just trial and error. That's it. And I think with my mom and my grandmom, just being raised
Mhm.
as a kid, they had these extensive
Oh,
spice racks that
absolutely.
were serious. The spices were serious. They had like a whole cabinet full of
Absolutely.
spices. And that is what they use. So I've learned at an early age in my cooking journey how important spices
Absolutely.
were. But for me, I started just wanting to add in fresh
Mhm.
herbs, so like thyme and basil and things like that. And I think that's where I differ from like my mom and my
Uh-huh.
grandma because they were religious dried
Right.
herbs, was what they used exclusively. And I was like, yeah, I think I'd rather use the
So
fresher
what was
ones.
it about the fresh herbs that drew you to them?
Like fresh is just
Mhm.
better. It's just something about it that just brings a freshness to the dish. It
Mm.
gives it that nice earthy,
Yeah.
herby flavor that you can get it from dry, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but it's just
Yeah.
different. It is very different. I mean, if you have it
Mhm.
available, I would always definitely opt for fresh.
Hypothetical question. You
Okay.
walk into a kitchen.
Okay.
You have everything that you could possibly want at your disposal. Every ingredient.
Mm.
You have
Whew.
one charge. You have to choose whether
Okay.
you're going to bake something or you're going to
Mhm.
make something savory. Bake something sweet, make something savory.
Oh my goodness. And I have everything in
Everything.
the kitchen.
Everything. And
That's a
and
lot.
if it's not there for some reason, even though everything is in that kitchen, you can
Mhm.
snap your fingers and it
Mm.
will literally be right there. So, are you making
Oh
something
my
sweet
goodness.
or making something savory?
I would say I have like the biggest sweet
Mhm,
tooth, so I think I'm always
mhm,
gonna default to like dessert and something
mhm.
sweet. That's like gonna be my first
Yeah.
choice. Like if there's an option between me having cake, I'm gonna have
Oh,
cake.
always cake.
Yeah,
Always
yeah.
cake. You said, "There's an
Mhm.
option to have cake?" I'm having cake.
I'm
I'm
having
having cake
cake.
too.
So yes, definitely something. Yeah, definitely I'm gonna bake
Mhm.
something sweet.
So
Yeah.
what are you gonna make? What is something that you've made to go with these chicken thighs?
Oh, something sweet that
Yeah.
I've made to go with the chicken thighs. You know what? I'm always a good like. I think the thing that I make the most is pound cake. Like I make pound cake a
What?
lot. Yeah,
Are we sisters? Are we long lost sisters?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. And I think it was because it was like really the first
yeah,
cake that I learned to make.
same.
So I think that I'm always going to default to a good pound cake. Plus, there are so many different versions and
Mhm.
options and flavor
Yes.
combinations, and it's just a very
It
versatile cake that you can do a lot with.
it really, really is. And
Yes.
you can keep things very simple and do a very simple
Hmm.
plain pound cake because
Hmm.
I'm telling you, everybody loves a plain pound cake, even though it's not really
Yes.
plain, but it can be very
It's not.
simple. It's not a whole lot of
Hmm.
ingredients. You really don't
Mm-mm.
need a recipe to create it.
Mm-mm.
And it
No.
makes everybody so delightfully happy.
Hmm.
Um,
Yes. And the ingredients are so
yeah,
basic that literally you could be just sitting at home and say, you know what, I'm gonna make a pound
yep.
cake. And you probably already have
Hey,
everything
as long as
already
you
in
have
your
enough
kitchen.
eggs, because in this day and age,
Yes. Yes. The eggs and the butter
what's
is
the margin with the number of eggs we keep in the house?
yes.
I mean, not me. I
Yes.
always have a bunch of eggs in here, but yeah, sometimes we
Yes.
may be like,
Same.
I may need to find, I
Yeah.
don't know, an egg free or something that's
Yes.
not usual. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So as long as you have the eggs and the
Hmm.
butter, and even with the sour
Yep.
cream or the moisture part, you can switch that out. You can do sour cream, you can do Greek
Yep.
yogurt, you can do buttermilk. There's so many different things you can do to kind
Hmm.
of substitute that in.
Oh, I love a pound cake. I'm telling you,
Yes.
that was my first love as a dessert was pound cake,
Hmm.
a sour cream pound cake.
Hmm.
My mother made it, and I was like, "What is this? And why did you wait until I
Yes.
was like 4 years old to serve it to me?"
Yes. Yes. Yes, yes. And growing up in the South, like any get together, like a
Hmm.
potluck, a
Oh,
family
absolutely.
dinner, or family
Hmm.
reunion, barbecue, it always made an
Always, and
appearance.
it's usually at the center of the
Someone
dessert table,
always.
and you have to wait
Mhm.
until after the meal to take it out because if
Mhm.
you don't, there will be slices missing when you intend to
Yes.
serve it. Oh yeah, or is
Yes.
that just my family?
Exactly. No, it's mine too. It's mine too. I remember that, yeah, my mom would have a problem with that sometimes because my dad was like, "Well, a couple slices are gonna be missing out of this before you take it to church. I'm
Oh no,
sorry."
we brought it in the house. We brought it in the house.
Yes. He was like, "I'm gonna get my slices. I'm sorry."
Church.
He's like, "I'm
No.
sorry. I
Wait
have to
a minute.
have
Wait
my
a minute. Wait a minute.
slices." Yes.
Your father would cut the
Yes.
cake that was meant for the church and didn't feel
Yes.
bad about it, did
Yes.
he? Not
At
at all.
all.
What's
Not
to
at
feel
all.
bad about?
They didn't need this whole cake. No. They didn't need
If
it.
you take it there,
They
they're just
won't
gonna
miss
cut it
it.
all, and I'm not gonna get any anyway.
They're gonna cut it
So
anyway. They're gonna cut it anyway. So he was like, "Eh."
I love your family. I've never met them. I love
So
them.
a good pound cake.
Mhm.
Yes.
Isn't it awesome how you can have such like core memories around pound cake? Something
Yeah.
so simple. I mean, it really is something
Yeah.
simple, but it's something
Mhm.
that has ground us, I think, in many, many
Mhm.
ways. Um,
Yes.
that's phenomenal. I'm sorry, I'm still
Yeah.
tripping.
Yes.
Like my dad
A
would do
pound cake
something
is a
sim
big
my
deal.
dad would do something similar.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, he would.
Yes.
My
Yes.
mother, I could just hear, Matt, don't do
Yes.
that. And I can hear his whole
Right.
chicken like, Mommy, this okay?
They don't
It's
need
okay.
it. You're gonna cut it anyway
Right.
when you get
But
there.
to be
Don't
fair,
worry about it.
my mother was an
Yeah.
exceptional cook and an exceptional baker. And my
Yes.
father loved to eat.
Mm.
He loved to eat.
Oh, yes.
So
Perfect
yeah,
combination.
they look,
Yeah.
they were a match made in heaven,
Mhm.
those two. But yeah,
Yes.
so he was never going to be like, oh no, just go ahead and take it all over there. Oh no, that was never.
Right.
It was
Right.
usually
No,
you should have made
never.
an extra one, so we keep one at the house.
Yes. One at the house. Yes. Why didn't you make two? Yep. That was something my dad would say. Why didn't you make two?
Right.
Why?
Ooh,
Yes. Love a good
I'm sorry
pounding.
for all this coughing. These allergies are just
Oh.
tearing me
Oh
up.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have a little cough with my allergies. So I just want to let you know.
Oh yeah.
Um, yes, it's just so thrilling to meet somebody whose life experiences are so similar because in this world, as a mom, as a content creator, as a food blogger, as a, go down the list of titles that we both wear, it can
Mhm.
feel really isolating sometimes. And
Yeah.
to meet
Yeah.
somebody who you just like immediately feel like this sense of, oh my gosh, this is a friend.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, that's
Yes.
our timer. Let's
Oh.
give it a check. Oh,
Yes.
out of here. Wait a minute.
Yes.
We're not done yet. We
Oh,
need a.
look at that.
Ooh, honey, I was about to leave the oven open just so I could smell. Mm-mm, mm-mm,
Mm.
mm-mm. That wasn't really that
Yes.
easy. All right.
Yes. That's it.
We are just
And the time varies depending, of course, on how thick your
right.
chicken thighs
And I
are.
was
So
also
it
very
just
liberal with the
yes.
potatoes
Yes.
and also the carrots. So we're going to
Yes.
call this user error on my part, but still a very, very
Okay.
easy dish to put together.
Mhm.
We've been in the oven
Mhm.
for a total of 35 minutes at this point, and I
Oh,
just put
so
it in for
yeah. Yeah.
another um,
Yeah.
8 minutes. And at that point, I
Yes.
think we will be done, but we'll
Yes.
see because we love a crispy chicken. So,
Yes. Yes.
we
And this recipe also works really well in
yeah.
advance. So if you're the type of person that likes to make things ahead of time, you can very easily make this the night before, the morning of, and then cook it that afternoon.
Oh, you mean
Yes. Like put everything in the pan, put everything in the
right,
pan and then cover it, put it in the refrigerator, and then when you're ready to cook it, just take it out, let it come to room temperature, and
right.
then put it in the oven and bake it. Yeah.
When you said make it the night before, I was like, like,
Make it up. Yes.
girl, you scared me.
Yeah. No,
Well,
no.
here's the last
I
thing
would
I
say
do
that is
after
an
I clean my
option.
kitchen.
That is
Right.
yes, that is a great
Yeah.
option. If you just are short on
Right.
time, yes, you can definitely do this prepare it
I
ahead
am
of time.
always, and that's one thing. I'm always short
Mhm.
on time.
Mhm.
Like, when
Mhm.
did that
Mhm.
happen?
Yeah, I know. I know. This is a good one, like before work for you to
Yeah.
make in the morning before
Mhm.
work, put it in the refrigerator, and then when you come out, you just put it in the
Mhm.
oven. Yeah.
That's a great idea. I intend
Yeah.
to be more proactive about dinner. I even write, like, when I
Mhm.
write out my schedule during the day, I write down what we're having for dinner. I do
Mm.
not write on my schedule what time I'm going to start dinner. And I always write like 5:30. That's
Oh.
my default time to start. Um,
Okay.
but I never think about, hey, I'm sitting here at lunch. I could prep some
Mhm.
vegetables for something like this. So that's a great
Mhm.
idea. See, I love the
Mhm.
hacks that you give to people like me who are really just trying to
Mhm.
figure out how to put something nutritious on the table every day, right?
Yes.
Because
Right.
there are things you can do. It don't
Mhm.
require
Mhm.
special equipment, right? It
Right.
requires a
That's
pack of
right.
chicken thighs and a
Mhm.
couple of potatoes and some carrots
That's
and a
it.
trip to your spice
That's
cabinet.
it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I love how you think about food as something that
Mm.
is nutritious is
Mhm.
doable, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I'll be the first to admit, some of the recipes on my site, many of the recipes, take some time to make.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you really have to like think through when you have the
Mhm.
time in your day to be able to execute them. Your
Yeah.
recipes are
Yeah.
so easy. Like for those of you who are watching who may have that
Mhm.
like lunchtime breakdown because you're thinking, oh, I have to think about what I'm going to make for dinner. Go
Yeah.
to simplylakita.com. I'm telling you, her
Mhm.
recipes are so easy to put together and they are so flavorful. You're not going to be disappointed by anything that you see on
Mhm.
there. Nothing.
Yeah.
And how did you get so well versed in different flavor
Mhm.
profiles? Like, there's all kinds of stuff on your site.
Mm. Yeah, oh yes, yes. I think that just comes from just eating
Mm-hmm.
out and just trial and error. Like I always tell my readers, like, most of us can't break our kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be afraid to get in there and like
Yeah.
experiment, like just try different things, especially with savory dishes.
Right.
They're very forgiving for you to kind of taste as you
Yeah.
go and adjust as you're going along the process. So yeah, it's just been trial and error. I'll be out at a restaurant, I'll have something great and then I'll just try to, duplicate it at home. Same thing with my family recipes. I'll be like, well, my mom makes, amazing like soul
Right.
food dishes. And a lot of her things I just cannot get
Yeah.
down, but I can make my version.
Right.
So it's like we're gonna play around with the spices, we're gonna play around with some sauces and see if we can get pretty close.
So trial and error. Have you always
Yes.
been this
Yes.
fearless in your life?
No, absolutely not.
So
When I first started, my cooking journey began, I think, when I left
yeah.
home. Because for the most part, as a kid, you're growing up, you're in the kitchen, you're around your
Right.
aunts, you hang out as a kid. They're gonna put you to
Right.
work. You're gonna do something.
They're gonna clean those
So
greens.
you just kind of follow their
Right.
lead in things, and you kind of take the back seat.
Absolutely.
To the elders. You're the youngster, so you
If
just
you know what's good for you,
default
you
to
do.
what they tell you. You default to what they tell you to do.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so when I left home, it was kind of like, okay, I'm in my own
Right.
kitchen, by myself. And at the time I got married to my son's
Mhm.
father, I was 19. I was
Oh
like,
my
how am
goodness.
I going to feed this man?
Uh-huh.
And, my mom's not
Uh,
here. She had given me like her, recipe cards or
yeah, yeah,
cookbooks.
yeah.
But I was not comfortable in the kitchen at
Okay.
all. I was comfortable with
Right.
baking. That was my lane, but making savory dishes was not my lane. That was pretty much, what my mom did. I just kind of showed up and helped and ate dinner.
Mhm.
That was really it. So I always tell everybody that poor man, our first year of marriage, like I got very comfortable with ground
Uh-huh.
beef, and I probably ground beef that
That's
man
not
to
ground beef
death.
to
Like
death
I
though.
made like anything that required ground
Uh-huh.
beef, I made it. So it was chili and
Oh
meatloaf
yeah.
and, just
He was
anything with
not
ground beef.
starving.
He was not starving, but I'm sure at some point he did not want to admit that he was probably tired of ground beef. But I got very comfortable with it.
Right.
And I think from there, I kind of transitioned to, trying other meats. I got more comfortable. And then, just going back to what I
Right.
knew. If you can read a recipe, you can make anything. So just pulling out recipes that I would
Mhm.
find and just making them.
All
Exactly.
right. So I'm gonna take these out because I feel like you need to see what I made with your recipe.
Ah.
And oh my gosh, can you see that? Let me close this.
Oh, look at that.
Can you see that?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Mm,
Love
mm,
that.
mm.
This is like one of my favorite recipes. I make this like almost every week because it's so easy
Right.
and so like
Yeah.
comforting and hearty and filling. You can pair it with like, even if you wanted to pair it with some rice, you could
Uh
do
huh.
that. Or some additional vegetables, you could do that as well.
Yeah, a side salad, and you're ready to go. These
Yeah,
are
yeah.
done,
Yay.
and the skin just looks awesome. Oh, it's done. Like, done,
Yes.
done, done. Done, done,
Yes.
done. Let me show you again
Yes.
what we made today.
Mm.
This is
Mhm.
your roast chicken with
Mhm.
potatoes and carrots.
Yes.
I'm kind of greedy, so I'm going to taste
Uh-huh.
some
Okay.
of this right now.
Yes. Let me know what you
Oh,
think.
I already know because I can smell
Mm.
these seasonings. I'm getting a lot of
Mhm.
from the thyme.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, I'm about to burn my mouth off eating this
Oh
food from this hot
no.
cast iron, and it's about to be worth it. These
Yes.
potatoes, they came out so tender. That's
Mhm.
amazing. I
Yeah.
cannot believe that this is this simple. I'm just
Yeah.
blown away. And my family, they are huge fans of chicken thighs. I make them like once a
See.
week.
Yes.
And there are a couple of
Yes.
different ways that I make them, but
Yes.
mm, okay, I'm
Yes.
going to take the
Yes.
smallest chicken thigh.
Okay.
Oh, I
Okay.
probably shouldn't do this just yet because it just came out of
Yes.
the oven.
Yes. Yes.
But mm,
Yes.
all right,
Mm-mm-mm.
Lord, we thank you for this meal.
Mm.
Amen.
Yes. Amen.
All right, starting simple. Carrot.
Okay.
I love a spiced carrot.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's really yummy. I love roasted carrots. Oh, but it is hot.
Yes.
I
Same.
love them.
Same.
All right, potato.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
Like, yum!
Ah.
Yum!
Yeah.
It's so good. It's spiced really simply, so you get like this
Mhm.
good like potato flavor, but it's like a really
Mhm.
good potato flavor. It's not like, you
Yes.
know, earthy bland potato.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
nice. It's so nice and salted
And I
too.
think the butter and the juices from the chicken just kinda just, soften it up and give it a little additional
Mm,
flavor.
mm, mm, mm.
Mhm. I mean, there's nothing better than, like, chicken and
Oh no.
potatoes.
Mm.
Like, that's, so comforting, so hearty,
All
just
right, I'm going in.
simple and delicious.
Main
Okay.
the main course. Sorry, I'm using my fingers. Oh, and I burned my fingers.
Okay. Oh, no, be
I do
careful.
not have good sense when it comes to food this good. I'm sorry. All right. Ooh, I need a knife. All right, first I have to try this chicken skin. I have to
Okay.
report to my
Yes.
son the
Yes.
king of the chicken skin. All right,
Mhm.
see if you can hear it.
Okay.
You hear
Mm.
it?
Mhm. Mhm.
Mm.
Yes, when you dance, you know it's good. When you hit a little dance.
Mm.
Mhm.
Oh.
Yes.
And I just got the brown sugar right at the end.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is excellent.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
And it's so tender. Mm.
Yes.
I, re-
Definitely a popular recipe, one of the most popular.
I can see why.
Yes, and I always get people that send me, like, the photos of their finished
Mm.
products, and I
I didn't take a
absolutely love
photo.
it. That's fine.
Can you please tell the people where
Okay.
they can find you?
They can find me at my blog is
Mhm.
simplylakita.com, and all of my social handles are Simply Lakita. So I'm all on all platforms.
And do
So,
you have
yeah.
baking recipes as well as savory? You do
Yes,
it all,
yes.
honey.
I do it all. Yes.
And you do it in such an amazing and impressive way. My family's going
Thank
to be
you.
so happy with these chicken
Oh,
thighs in
oh,
T
good.
minus whenever we get off. Um,
Mhm, mhm.
maybe I should like pack them up real quick. No, just kidding.
Oh.
Because Mama has been known to like hoard food in the back of the refrigerator.
Oh, yeah.
What is this? Oh, I don't know, babe. I don't know. But she
Mhm,
won't like it.
mhm. Right.
This is phenomenal. I mean, you have really mastered the art of feeding your family, but making it great, right? I think a lot of times recipes can get, I know my recipes can get very, very busy, and you really have to make concerted effort to have the time to get that recipe done, start to finish. With your recipes, they are just uncomplicated, but they are so, so good. As I sneak another potato.
Yes. Very uncomplicated. Something that anyone can make and impress their
Mhm.
family is what we like to say. Yeah.
Most definitely. If you're trying to impress somebody,
Mm-hmm.
so make this.
Mm-hmm.
This is Lakita
Yeah.
Anderson's roasted chicken with potatoes and carrots. You can find it on simplylakita.com. If you want to reach out to her, do you have an email?
I do.
Okay.
My email is Lakita, my first name, Lakita, at simplylakita.com.
Oh, and how did you come up with that blog name, Simply Lakita?
Oh, I think it was just one of those I just picked out. I think I just was like, oh, I want to start my blog. What am I going to do? I need a name. Okay, what's the name?
Mm-hmm.
Simply Lakita. Let's just do that. And I think through the years I thought about changing it and just never
Mm-hmm.
got around to it. So here we are, 10 years later.
All right. So you did your part.
Okay.
You provided dinner,
Yes.
and I wanted to bring some dessert. Just like your
Yes.
grandmother, I always like to have a little something sweet to
A
end the
little
meal.
something. Yes.
Just a little something sweet. So today, I made what I have always called hand pies.
Mm.
Heard them referred to as popovers,
Mm.
turnovers, not
Mhm.
popovers, empanadas. I've heard them called many different things. These are my apple hand pies.
Look at those.
I know. I kept on saying to my daughter, I'm making hand pies for tomorrow, for I'll bring dessert. I can do apple, I can do blueberry, I can do, and she was like, apple.
Mm.
And I said, well, I can do blueberry, I can do apple. She said, apple. And I said, I said, there's also blueberry. And she said, apple. so,
Apple.
so these
Oh.
are an apple. I almost said blueberry. An
Mm.
apple hand pie that will be available on my site by the time this episode airs.
Mhm.
These will be available on my site by then. But for now, I just wanted to show you like
Mm.
how much I love them.
Look
Look,
at that.
they're just the cutest little things, and they're
Oh
so
my
flaky.
goodness. So flaky and just that crust. Oh
Just
my goodness.
fall apart. But I love
Mhm.
them. I love them. It's just like the perfect little something sweet. When
Mm.
you were talking about how your grandmother
Mhm.
created dessert every day,
Mhm.
it just came to me like the little something sweet.
Yep.
And this is like the little something
Mhm.
because you can
Mhm.
walk around with it in your hand and it is
Yeah.
literally small. It'll fit in the palm of your hand
Oh.
and it's something that you can just walk around with. Now, if
Ah.
you walk around with 3 or 4 of them in your hand, that's not my fault.
Yes.
Ooh, but they're so
Mm.
yummy and they're so cinnamony. And
Oh,
guess what?
yeah.
For people who don't like butter in their
Mhm.
pie crust
Mm.
or lard or shortening,
Mhm.
ooh, this unbelievably flaky pie
Mhm.
crust is made with coconut oil.
What? Oh
Mhm.
my goodness.
I know.
Oh wow.
Absolute dream to
Ah.
work with,
Oh
right?
wow.
It's
Yeah.
a dream to work with. In this kitchen, it's been hot here all week.
Yeah.
I would be more concerned. I mean, I make pie in any weather that I
Mhm.
feel like
Right. Right.
but you know, when you're making pie and it's warm,
Mhm.
things can get a little dicey.
Right. Right.
Does not happen with this
Oh,
coconut oil pie crust.
I love that.
So I invite you to try it when it is up on the blog and let me know with your learned experience whether
Yeah.
or not you liked it.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Um, but this was what I thought of when we were talking, and I was like, "Oh, a
Mhm.
little something sweet
Mhm.
and pies." and of course,
Mhm.
my daughter made the ultimate decision for me by saying she wanted apple. She is a classic apple pie kind of girl. And I
Mhm.
can't be mad at her for that. I
Yes.
cannot.
I love that. It's kinda like it goes together, those nice classic recipes. You got the chicken and potatoes and then a
Yes.
hand apple pie.
Right.
You
Or a
know?
turnover, whatever you call it.
Yes,
Mm.
yes.
It's
Mhm.
just got such a nice like flake, and then you get that crust in your mouth and it melts in your mouth, but there's also just a little bit of bite.
Mm.
That coconut
Mm.
oil gives it just the nicest little fragrance. Mm. But there's also just the slightest hint of like coconut flavor.
Mm.
It's just amazing. I love these things. And I love this pie dough. For
Ah.
people who are a little nervous about working with
Mhm.
pie dough,
Mhm.
I always recommend starting with coconut oil. It's so much more
Mm.
forgiving than butter or shortening or lard. It
Okay.
truly, truly is. It
Mm.
truly, truly is.
I love that. Now, could this be like a more dairy-free option?
Mhm,
Oh, see, I love that
mhm.
too. Yes.
'Cause
Love it.
there's no dairy. There's just flour, a little bit of
Mm.
salt, a little bit of vodka.
Oh, oh my goodness.
Mhm. Old pie maker's secret. You got
Yes.
your coconut oil and then
Mhm.
some water.
Oh, I love that.
Funny story. I
Mhm.
usually have to sneak downstairs because that's where my husband keeps the vodka on his bar. And I do
Right,
mean sneak and gather the vodka that I need.
right,
And if he's down there, he's like, "What are you doing in my bar?"
right. Oh my goodness, I love that.
But nobody complains when
Right.
the pie crust is like shattering under their fork. So I feel like a win is a win.
Yes, yes. Oh, that's
But
amazing.
yes, and so there's no dairy, there's
Love it.
no butter in this pie crust. I have an all butter pie crust, and I have
Mhm.
one that I use with butter and shortening.
Okay.
But for people who are just beginning, like that's kind of my community. There are a lot of people who are really just beginning to bake. And I always
Oh,
recommend, unless you have a coconut allergy,
yeah.
I always recommend if you are just beginning to work with pie, please try this coconut oil pie crust first.
Yes. Love that.
Hmm. But
Love it.
I wanted to say thank you so much for being here.
Mm.
Um, Thank you so much for believing in the vision of this podcast enough to come on during the first season. And I'm going to keep you here for just a minute longer. But to our audience, I am going to bid you all adieu and say, I hope to catch you next time on I'll Bring Dessert.